Bonjour tout le monde, merci d'être là. Ça me fait plaisir d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. Puis, on est ici afin de parler de l'abordabilité. Avant de commencer, il y a eu une grande controverse dans mon bureau en passant. Il y a eu une erreur d'accordance sur notre pancarte. Automobile féminine. Auto, normalement, on dit un auto. Donc, on manque un E. C'est une erreur d'accordance que je souligne tout au début. Je vais rédiger une lettre à l'Académie française pour nous excuser. Il va y avoir un projet de loi pour des peines obligatoires pour les politiciens qui mettent le mauvais accordance sur leur pancarte. Avant de commencer, je devrais reconnaître le député Andrew Lawton, qui est ici, un conservateur qui veut se battre pour un pays qui est plus abordable chez nous, plus sécuritaire chez nous et plus fort chez nous. On veut que l'épicerie soit abordable et que nos jeunes puissent acheter une belle maison. Mais après 11 ans avec des libéraux, tout coûte plus cher. Pendant la dernière élection, Mark Carney a promis de renverser toutes les politiques qu'il avait appuyées et que son parti avait mis en place pendant 10 longues années, mais ce n'était qu'une illusion. Il a doublé le déficit de Justin Trudeau, augmenté les dépenses, créé 13 nouvelles agences gouvernementales. Il garde aussi en place toutes les lois libérales anti-développement. Il continue de faire exactement la même chose que le gouvernement libéral. Avec M. Carney au Canada, c'est plus de coûts, plus de crimes, plus de corruption. En effet, M. Carney a créé la seule récession dans le G7. Le niveau d'endettement des ménages le plus élevé dans le G7. Il a créé le pire coût du logement dans le G7 et le deuxième pire taux de chômage dans le G7, un tiers plus élevé qu'aux États-Unis. En plus, on est le seul pays dans le G20 en récession. Tous les autres pays G20 ont les mêmes conditions mondiales, les mêmes prix de l'essence, les mêmes prix du pétrole, les mêmes guerres en Moyen-Orient, les mêmes tarifs de Donald Trump, mais aucun autre pays du G20 est dans une récession. Pendant ce temps, 60% des Canadiens sont stressés avec leurs finances personnelles et 38% vivent de l'insécurité alimentaire. Le prix de l'essence est 10% plus élevé au Canada qu'aux États-Unis, même si eux autres ont les mêmes problèmes de prix de pétrole mondial. Tout ça, ce n'est pas la faute des facteurs mondiaux, c'est des facteurs libéraux. Oui, la guerre en Moyen-Orient a augmenté le prix de l'essence, mais il y a eu deux guerres en Moyen-Orient pendant les années Harper et une guerre en Ukraine par rapport au Crimée, et le prix de pétrole était plus élevé mondialement, mais ici, chez nous, le prix était 30 sous de moins à la pompe. Comme je viens de dire, ça, c'est des effets des libéraux. Un autre effet libéral, c'est que depuis 2019, le prix d'un auto usagé a doublé de 18 000 à 36 000 $. Mais ce n'est pas juste une question d'inflation libérale, c'est les taxes. Parce qu'il y a aussi ici au Canada un double, un triple, un quadruple taxe sur les voitures. Lorsqu'une personne achète un véhicule neuf, elle paie la taxe de vente. Si la même voiture est revendue, c'est taxé encore. Une troisième fois, c'est taxé encore et encore. Le double, le triple et le quatrième taxe sur la même voiture. C'est pour ça que les conservateurs annoncent aujourd'hui le projet de loi du député conservateur Andrew Lawton pour retirer complètement la taxe de vente sur les autos usagées. L'abolition de la TPS sur les autos usagées va permettre aux contribuables d'économiser 1 835 $ sur l'achat d'un véhicule usagé moyen. Prenez ce magnifique camion en arrière nous, un camion usagé, vous allez économiser 3 800 $ en taxes fédérales avec le plan conservateur. Cette baisse de taxes va stimuler notre économie et nous aider à sortir de la récession libérale de Mark Carney. C'est seulement en réduisant le coût de l'État qu'on va réduire le coût de la vie et rendre le Canada abordable chez nous, sécuritaire chez nous et fort chez nous. Happy to be here, everybody, at Myers Automotive Dealership. Dealerships like this give people paychecks and cars and trucks they need to earn them. That's one reason Conservative MP and Platform Chair Andrew Lawton decided he wanted to reverse a serious government ripoff, a scam by politicians that targets dealerships and customers who work and buy cars across our country. It's the double, triple, and even quadruple tax on the same car or truck. More on that in a minute. But first, a reminder. Why are Conservatives here? Why are we involved? Because we want this country to restore its promise that anyone who works hard gets a great life, a strong paycheck that buys affordable food, homes, cars, and fuel. We want them to live in safe neighborhoods under a proud flag. We want Canada to be affordable at home, safe at home, and self-reliant at home. We want Canadians to fill up their tank and leave with change in their pockets, to fill up their shopping cart without emptying their bank accounts. We want young people to buy houses without having to ask their retired parents for a loan. We want teenagers to be able to work in good-paying jobs that they can actually get to in their own vehicle. That's what life was like before this Liberal government. But after 11 years of Liberals, Canadians can't afford food, fuel, homes, and other essentials. In the last election, Mark Carney promised that he would reverse everything he had said and everything his party had done in the prior decade. But it was all an illusion. He doubled Trudeau's deficits, increased spending, created 13 new and costly government agencies, kept all the anti-development Liberal laws in place, renamed rather than replacing the carbon tax on consumers, and then he increased the industrial carbon tax 6 times higher than the one that Trudeau left behind. Under Mark Carney, it's been more cost, more crime, more corruption, more of the same. Mark Carney is just another Liberal. Carney's Liberals have made Canada the only country in the G20 in a recession. Every other G20 country, with all the same tariffs and energy costs and wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, have avoided recession, but not Carney, not the Liberals. In fact, Mark Carney is arriving at the G7 summit tomorrow as the only leader who's taken his country into a recession. And yes, there'll be lots of grand signing ceremonies and dazzling speeches signifying nothing. But we've had free trade with Europe for over a decade, no thanks to Mark Carney. We have tariff-free access to Europe that we cannot use because the Liberal government blocks the construction of LNG plants and pipelines that would actually get our products to the European market. If Mark Carney wants to diversify trade and get us out of the recession that he created, then he actually needs to do work here at home to remove the anti-development laws his party put in place and that remain on the books so that we can actually ship our goods overseas to Europe. He doesn't need to sign yet another meaningless memorandum that is unenforceable and entirely symbolic. It's actually incredible. After a year of traveling around the world, which we support, the Prime Minister should travel around and if he can get results. Mark Carney has not been able to negotiate a single new free trade agreement. Sure, he signed a small deal that Justin Trudeau had negotiated, to his credit, with Indonesia, which is worth about 4 hours of trade with the U.S., but he has not negotiated a single new free trade agreement anywhere on earth after taking office well over a year ago. Now, some will say that the 2 back-to-back quarters of shrinking GDP is only one indicator, and we can't rely on that alone, and I agree with that. So let's look at the others. Since Mark Carney took office, our GDP has contracted in 3 of the last 4 quarters, and last quarter became the 5th consecutive quarter of declining business investment. Investment has dropped every single quarter Mark Carney has been Prime Minister. Why is it that our economy is doing so much worse than other G7 economies? Why is it that we have the worst housing costs in the G7, the worst household debt in the G7, the second highest unemployment in the G7, a third higher than in the United States. Well, the answer is we have the same Liberal policies as we did a year ago, despite all illusions. These are not just statistics. Every quarter of declining economic activity means people losing sleep over their bills, struggling to fill their fridges, worrying they'll lose their jobs. That's why the United Way reported this week that 60% of Canadians feel like personal anxiety about their finances. 38% of Canadians live in food insecurity. 1 in 5 reporting that there were times in the last year when they had run out of food in their homes and had no money to buy more. 34% know someone who's experienced poverty, up 5%, and 22% of Canadians have said they have experienced poverty. Full-time workers in Kitchener live in RVs parked in carpooling lots after a year of carney. One senior in Richmond now sleeps inside a Tim Hortons after a year of carney. A New Brunswick man skipped surgery in February because he couldn't afford to miss work after a year of carney. Dazzling overseas speeches and fake agreements won't put food on tables, money in bank accounts, or gas in tanks, nor will $200,000 on in-flight catering. Mark Carney has made a club of Liberal insiders, lobbyists, and corporate power brokers fabulously rich while making everyone else poor. The illusion of Mark Carney is now colliding with the reality. He's been wrong on every major issue. Wrong on pushing carbon taxes, wrong to write in his book that we should leave half our oil in the ground, wrong to testify against pipelines to the Pacific, wrong to predict that COVID would lead to declining prices and deflation, wrong to support money printing deficits that led to the inflation crisis. It's not enough to blame the rising cost of living on overseas issues. Under the Harper government, we had 2 wars in the Middle East, 1 in Ukraine. Oil prices were higher than they were today, and yet here at home, gas prices were 33% a litre cheaper. Gas is also 10% cheaper in the U.S. right now, even though they face the same global factors. That's why Conservatives are calling for an end to gas taxes for the rest of the year, saving Canadians 25 cents a litre, $20 a fill-up, and $1,200 between now and the end of the year. Since the Liberals took office in 2019, the cost of a used vehicle has doubled. Since 2019, that's now, we're talking 6-7 years ago, there's been a doubling of the price of a used vehicle from $18,900 to $36,700 in March. Another example of Liberal inflation. In fact, the surging prices went so high that Statistics Canada had to create a separate item to track in 2022 before they just used the new vehicles as a proxy. Almost every Canadian needs a truck or a car, and most people of modest means rely on used vehicles to save some money. Yet the government imposes double, triple, and sometimes even quadruple taxes on the same vehicle. When someone buys a car new, they pay the tax. When it's resold as used, the new buyer pays the tax again. If it gets sold a third time, it's paid, that tax is paid. It could be 5 times in a row of federal sales taxes on the same vehicle. The endlessly repeating tax on used cars is a tax on the working poor, on low-income seniors, and on small businesses. That is government greed, and greedy government makes for poorer people. Conservatives are fighting to restore affordability here at home, and that's why Conservatives are announcing MP Andrew Lawton's bill to scrap the sales tax on used cars altogether. The principle is that the GST should only apply once at the final sale and never again. Scrapping the tax on used cars will save you $1,835 on the average used vehicle. Or take this beautiful truck behind me. You would save $3,800 on this used vehicle if you purchased it with the Conservative tax cut. We will also urge provinces to eliminate their share of the HST on vehicles that have already been sold. All this builds on our existing plan to save our auto industry by ending sales tax on Canadian-made automobiles, and it follows our Conservative plan for a dollar-for-dollar principle so that this tax cut will not increase the deficit. We would match it by eliminating the Alto bill, the $90 billion taxpayer-funded Liberal Alto boondoggle. Just for context, the Liberals have budgeted to spend $900 million a year on average for the next 4 years, not building Alto, just studying it. Nearly $1 billion a year on lobbyists, researchers, activists, bureaucrats, and consultants to study and not build. Conservatives have a different approach. So here's the trade-off. You want to spend $1 billion a year on studies, or do you want to use that money to reduce your cost of a used car by $2,000? Conservatives choose the latter. We choose your savings for your wallet, for your vehicle, for your family. This tax cut will boost our economy and help local dealerships like this one hire more people. It will help tradesmen get trucks to go to work, students to get their first car, single moms to replace their broken down minivan with something that might work better to get their kids to school and soccer. It will help seniors buy a car to visit their grandchildren or go on retirement road trips. By lowering the cost of government, we'll lower your cost of living to leave more fuel in your tank and more money in your account. One way we'll help make Canada affordable here at home, with jobs here at home and self-reliance here at home. Thank you very much. Go ahead there, Andrew.
Thank you very much. This is a common sense measure that will save Canadians money. In ridings like mine and across the country, having a vehicle is not a luxury, it is a necessity. You need it if you want to drive to work. You need it if you want to get a job as a youth. You need it if you want to get around. And it is fundamentally unfair that the federal government is profiting off of inflation by having a higher and higher tax based on higher and higher vehicle costs. So given that the price of a used vehicle has almost doubled in just 7 years, that means that the amount of GST Canadians are paying has gone up significantly in that time as well. So my private member's bill, Bill C-285, is a very direct affordability measure that will save Canadians who need it most money when they're buying cars and end this double, triple, and quadruple taxation that the government has been relying on to pad the pockets of Liberal insiders and corporate elites. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
There was a Spider-Man video that needed to be watched right now.
Thank you. We'll now take questions from reporters. Please identify yourself and your outlet.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre, JP Tasker, CBC News. The Prime Minister says Canada and the U.S. have made some progress on trade issues ahead of the CUSMA review. What's your assessment of how things are going?
Well, we want a tariff-free access to the biggest market in the world, and we believe the best way to do it is for the Prime Minister to bundle up all of Canada's leverage using, for example, the prospect of a strategic mineral reserve and increased oil exports as leverage, and then in exchange for allowing the Americans to have access to buy those things, that we would seek an end to tariffs on aluminum, steel, lumber, autos, and everything else. And we would encourage the parties to get to the table and get a deal as quickly as possible, because there's very real damage being done on both sides of the border.
You might have seen that Justin Trudeau attended the first USA FIFA World Cup game on Friday. His girlfriend, Katy Perry, was performing. Of course, there was another FIFA game that day. Canada had its first game as well. What do you make of his decision to be stateside that day?
I don't really have anything. I try not to think about Mr. Trudeau any more than I have to, like most Canadians. All right.
Good afternoon, Mr. Poilievre. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News. You touched on food insecurity today. The Prime Minister released his government's food security strategy this week. Will you support any measures that may help lower the cost of food for Canadians?
Of course we will. We always have. But the problem is Mark Carney is raising the cost of food. And I would ask you, how many times has this Liberal government made affordable food announcements? Have you kept track? I mean, it's incredible. Every day, every couple of months, a Liberal minister goes out and promises affordable food. And what happens the next month? Food prices rise even more. The current finance minister, François-Philippe Champagne, said in 2023 that he was going to deliver affordable groceries by Thanksgiving. And now the same Liberal politicians go in front of all of you in the media and make exactly the same promises, and it gets reported uncritically without any counterpoint whatsoever. Obviously, after over a decade of Liberal inflationary spending and taxes, Canadians cannot afford to eat. We need to get rid of the Liberal industrial carbon tax on farm equipment, fertilizer, food processors, and the delivery of food. We need to get rid of the packaging regulations that don't protect health or the environment but drive up the cost of packaging our food. And we need to stop the inflationary Liberal money printing that makes everything more expensive. Mark Carney's latest multi-billion-dollar spending announcement will actually increase the cost of food again, just like every Liberal grocery announcement has done over the last decade. With Mark Carney, it's more cost, more expensive groceries, more of the same. He's just another Liberal.
The Prime Minister is in Ireland today ahead of the G7. Your office criticized his visit to Ireland because Canada already has a relationship with Ireland and already does trade with Ireland. Is there value, though, in spending time in that country ahead of their taking over of the EU presidency at a time when the Prime Minister and his government say they want to bolster the relationship with Europe?
Well, of course, we're not criticizing him for going to Ireland. I hope he has a wonderful journey to his ancestral homeland. It is partly my ancestral homeland as well. I've got Irish roots, so I hope that he has a good visit. But here's the reality. He's not bringing home any results. And that's the real Conservative criticism here. We want results here at home. He's been jetting around the world without negotiating a single new free trade agreement with any country anywhere on planet Earth, and instead has delivered the only recession in the G7. We already have a free trade agreement with Europe, which includes Ireland. Why can't we get our goods to Europe? It's not because the Europeans are shutting us out. It's because the Liberal government is shutting us in with anti-development laws. If he really wants to export more to Europe, he should get here now, repeal all the anti-development laws, and rapidly permit new pipelines, mines, LNG plants to ship our goods off the East Coast over the Atlantic so that we can reach energy-hungry European markets. Pour être clair, on ne critique pas le Premier ministre pour ses voyages, on le critique pour le manque des résultats. Après un an des voyages à travers le monde, il n'a pas signé une seule nouvelle entente de libre-échange qu'il a négociée. En effet, il livre le seul pays dans le G7 qui est maintenant en récession. On a déjà une entente de libre-échange depuis 10 ans avec des Européens qui invitent nos produits. Le problème, c'est que notre gouvernement libéral bloque l'exportation de nos ressources ici, chez nous, avec des lois anti-développement qui sont toujours en place. Donc, si M. Carney est sérieux pour diversifier notre économie vers l'Europe, ils doivent enlever les lois anti-développement comme C-69 et rapidement donner des permis de construction aux projets de ressources naturelles, y compris des pipelines et des usines de gaz naturel, pour qu'on puisse acheminer nos produits outre-mer.
Ouais, mon nom, c'est Félix Pilon pour Radio-Canada. Juste peut-être une précision par rapport au fait qu'il aille voir justement le village dans lequel habitaient ses ancêtres. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de ça, cette partie-là plus personnelle de ce voyage-là comme premier ministre?
C'est spécial pour tous ceux et celles qui ont des héritages irlandais. Et évidemment, c'est spécial. Mon grand-père biologique vient, je pense que c'est du comté Meade, donc il y a beaucoup de Canadiens qui ont des liens avec l'Irlande. Il y a une expression drôle qu'il y a deux types de personnes au monde, les Irlandais et ceux qui veulent l'être. Donc j'espère au niveau personnel que ça va être une belle expérience pour lui.
Juste une autre question par rapport à vos attentes pour le G7 qui commence demain. Avez-vous des attentes en particulier?
Je veux que le Premier ministre annonce qu'il va renverser les politiques chez nous qui ont causé la seule récession dans le G7. Peut-être il va écouter pour savoir comment ça se peut que les autres 6 pays du G7 ont évité la récession que nous avons chez nous parce que les Canadiens ont besoin d'une vie abordable, des emplois et les chèques de paie. C'est le temps pour des grandes réunions et les grands discours, c'est fini. Maintenant, c'est le temps des résultats, ici chez nous.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.